In the November of 1910, upon receiving reports of the Qing movement in the North Siang Basin, British officials in Assam sent an ominous missive to Shimla. Should the Chinese establish themselves in strength or obtain complete control up to our outer line, they could attack us whenever they pleased and the defense would be extremely difficult. At the time, Qing China was undertaking a great forward movement along the eastern Himalayas that began soon after the British left the Chumbi Valley in 1908, which the latter had occupied during the Young Husband expedition of 1903 and 04. Supporting the concerns of the frontier officials in Assam, the British consul in Chengdu further feared that the Qing intended to set up military agricultural Han colonies in the region with a view to eventually colonizing Assam itself. Today, the echoes of the past sound louder than before, what with reports of the Chinese having built an enclave in the North Siang Basin, ostensibly south of the McMahon line in what is the Shi-Yomi district of Arunachal Pradesh. While the Indian Army says that this development lies to the north of the line of actual control, it is nevertheless clear that the Chinese are once again executing a forward policy, reminiscent of the one attempted by the Qing in the second decade of the 20th century. In fact, the North Siang discovery is the second such south of the McMahon line development brought to public attention this year, with the first being the expansion of an old People's Liberation Army ground force post to a 101 home village in the upper Subansiri basin. Model border villages are also cropping up in undefended Bhutanese territory south of the watershed. Any power sitting to the north of the Himalayas will inevitably feel the need to exert influence to its south on account of the peculiar historical geography of the region. At this juncture, Beijing's insecurities about its ethnic borderlands are particularly acute, while its capabilities are rather considerable. This mix of need and opportunity is what lay behind China's summer 2020 intrusions in eastern Ladakh. Now, the situation precipitated by those intrusions continues to fester, despite several rounds of talks. The PLAGF, or the People's Liberation Army Ground Force, is as yet unwilling to disengage from patrolling Point 15 and withdraw to its post at Galwan camp. This is not surprising since the Indian Army holds PP-16 in force, and any return to the pre-April 2020 status quo in the area would negate whatever advantage the Chinese had gained via their ingress in the hot spring sector. In recent times, Chinese strategic analysts have become fond of saying that the PLA withdrew from its 1962 NEFA occupations primarily because it did not have loyal border populations to rely upon. Well, the PLA certainly seems keen to change that, with its policy of promoting Han Tibetan and Han tribal families who would be induced to settle in the border villages alongside regular soldiers. Interestingly, the two newly discovered enclaves south of the McMahon line may also help in securing the headwaters of some Siang and Subansiri tributaries that are scheduled for future hydropower exploitation by the Indian side. However, the Chinese development of Ningchi as a major communications hub, which in turn is connected to other hubs such as Lhasa, has meant that the PLAGF can now posture forward in hitherto difficult areas such as North Siang. Now that is where India's opportunity lies. While increasing the pace of its own border works and reaching the last villages Sain Kwanon, New Delhi can also leverage historic people-to-people ties to neutralize Beijing's ambitious frontier strategy. The Indian military build-up must of course continue in order to ensure that the game remains firmly in the grey zone, below the threshold of conventional war, as that is where salvation lies for India's Himalayan policies. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe, and check out our channel for more content just like this.